When we're striving, we're running on emotion and exhaustion. But if we use strategy, we're running on intention and purpose. And that's a big difference there. Hello and welcome to the Encourager Podcast, where we talk about real life and real systems so you can joyfully harmonize both home and work. I'm your host, Rebekah Scott. I'm a wife, mom, designer, coach, and lifelong systems thinker. And I help overwhelmed women build simple, sustainable rhythms that actually work for their real lives. Around here, we talk about priorities, pre-decisions, and practical tools that bring peace instead of pressure. Because you don't need more hustle, you need better systems and more grace. Today's episode is a good one. Hello, Encouragers. On this week's podcast, I want to talk about something that's come up fairly frequently, and it wasn't until I spent some time thinking about the differences that I was able to really break down what was going on. And it's a concept that I've been practicing frequently whenever I pick up a new system or try to adjust one of my systems or a new project or a new goal. I go, okay, well, how am I going to approach this with more strategy and less striving? Because I think for myself personally, my nature is to strive. Like, I'm ambitious, I'm driven, I've got the speed of implementation on my side. I go there in a New York minute, but that burns me out pretty fast. So I want to ask you, have you ever caught yourself working really hard, but feeling like you're not actually getting anywhere? You're checking the boxes and you're pushing through, but deep down, you're just really tired. That's the difference between striving and strategy. Striving drains you. This is where you're like, we just got to get there. We just got to get there. And even if you get there, in air quotes, right? Even if you get there, you're just completely exhausted by the whole thing because chances are you didn't create some systems along the way. And you know that you're just going to have to get right back at it. It was a small moment. It was a smaller mountain that you got to the top of. But because of the striving, it did in fact drain you, and you're going to have to start over again with the next strive. Well, strategy sustains you. First of all, the word means plan. So you're going to have a plan, you're going to execute it, and then you're going to be able to evaluate, hey, what worked here and what didn't, which is also part of strategy, so that you can in fact repeat it. Now, in the strategy scenario, most likely you won't have near the pushing or the forcing it. You'll have more of the let's stick to the plan mindset so that you can find out what worked and what didn't. It didn't mean it's going to work perfect, but you'll also be able to evaluate what did and didn't work. And there'll be much more success in the strategy planning than there will be in the striving, because you push so hard, you can't really evaluate what wasn't working and what was, because you were just going to do it no matter what. Your whole body tenses up, right? When we're striving, we're running on emotion and exhaustion. But if we use strategy, we're running on intention and purpose. And that's a big difference there. I want to paint you a picture. There was a season in my business where I was saying yes to every opportunity. I had chosen a growth year, which is that's not abnormal, especially for me, because I am ambitious and I've got a new idea. So I decided that I would say yes to far more opportunities, which I have plenty of podcasts where I say no to a lot of things. But in this year, I was like, all right, I'm going to say yes to a lot of things. I'm going to commit to a lot of well-meaning people who want me to be a part of their organizations or want me to do something within their organization. And I was striving, not thriving, striving. I was trying to prove I could keep up, that I had chosen this for myself, that I was perfectly capable, and I could in fact do all the things until I burnt out. And that particular year, I had chosen that I would be interviewed on podcasts. My goal was 30. I wanted to be interviewed on 30 podcasts. I did have a little bit of strategy behind this because I had read some things and taken some courses on increasing your podcast downloads and increasing your podcast business and blah, blah, blah. So I thought, well, I don't mind answering questions. I like the process of interviewing and I like the process of being interviewed. Let's go get it. I created my little chart, which was a little bit more strategy than striving. But I'm telling you, by episode 5, it was all about striving. It was just about getting to that 30 goal, which, by the way, I ended up getting to 37. But I feel it's necessary I say that because it stopped feeling purposeful and really did just feel like striving, because I knew by episode, probably in the middle there, probably by episode 12 to 14, it was not moving the needle. It wasn't doing anything for the encourager. It was doing a lot to myself and to trying to keep commitments for interview times. And I'm not a very appointment-based person. I discovered also, like, don't stick me we record at 9, 11, 1, and 2. I'm not very good in the appointment world. I'm better when I'm working by myself and my own things is what I realized. But I did it. But I did know afterwards, because of my level of exhaustion, which I would say this, I actually get a lot of energy right after them and probably during them. But keeping the appointments and all of the admin behind it, like confirming that I would in fact be there, confirming that I would use their platform, confirming after the interview what time it would air, that's the stuff that drained me. The actual interview and talking about coaching and systems, I could do that all day long, forever and ever, amen. But the admin behind it to get everything ready, that's what drained me. And that's where it felt really, really, really hard and really like striving. Again, it wasn't a bad idea. It just wasn't completely thought out of what I wanted the outcome to be by being interviewed. Like if I would have been more strategic about which ones I chose yes to, like if they were women-based audiences, if they were them coaches selves, if they had a clear layout of what they wanted me to talk about, that it was a little bit more fitting for their audience, or I could cater what I was saying to fit their audience, that would have been way more strategic and I think would have moved the needle better. But because I was just set the goal, I'm going to be on 30 podcasts, I didn't have as much of a strategy as I needed. And I felt like striving and I felt burnt out at the end of it. So after that season, I was like, okay, wait, I've had a little bit of purpose behind this. What really happened? So I had to sit and think about it. I had to evaluate the data. It didn't move anything. I had to think about, okay, like what is the purpose behind this? How does this fit into my systems? Which should have been one of my first questions. It was a little hard to fit it into my work system because of the time commitment. And does this align with what God has asked me to do during this season? And ultimately, I don't think it was like God said, no, you can't do this. I don't think, though, that I got the real go-ahead for myself personally about what was the purpose behind it and how would it move the needle. And so that's where I really just had to like stop, pause. I need a more strategic approach to this. Another example is that I have been doing 12 days of giveaways for my business, Rebekah Scott Designs, with the purses and accessories. I highly encourage you, go check it out. Go to designyourownpurse.com. Listen, guys, I can't not say it, right? I mean, here we are listening. I did 12 days of giveaways, I think for 4 or 5 years. And that meant from December 1st until December 12th, we did giveaways every day live at noon. And this included costumes, giveaways, the product we were producing, a box on the website. It requires so much for the website, for socials, for email. It required a lot of work. However, I did love it because I love giveaways. If you've ever tuned into any of my lives, I just love giving. I think it's little God notes of like who he picks individually for the day to win. It's just something that's really near and dear to my heart. So I love doing giveaways, but admittedly by day number 8, I was like, okay, we can do this. We got 4 more days. And I think if I was on my own because of my own natural energy for giving and costumes and going live and getting to see the customers and getting to interact with them, I probably could have done it. But because it required a team who was also on the back end, making sure they signed up in the right way, making sure we weren't being hacked on social media, making sure the products were on the website, it required a lot of work of them also. And so that was also towards the end of it was just really striving. And what was the purpose behind it? Thankfully, we caught on about 2 years in. It's like, this is fun. And we're making an impact as far as numbers and people engaging, but we're not making an impact in how many sales we were having. And so we set to make a little bit more strategy behind it. And that meant that we started looking at it in July. Not exaggerating. We started looking at our 12 days of giveaways in July, mapping out what would the giveaway be, what would it deal with the product, and how could we monetize the frenzy. I could create the frenzy with my energy and all the stuff that I just naturally love to do, but how could we also monetize that so it was more strategic in putting money back into the business while also being really fun? And when we started doing that, that was much more purposeful, and I didn't feel as drained because I knew what the results was that we wanted, right? We wanted to sell X amount of products by Friday the 6th, or whatever it might look like. And then also this year, we've even narrowed it down more. So secret sauce, if you want to join us, we are going to do the 12 days of giveaways in 5 days. We're going to go from December 1st to December 5th. Again, we're trying to be super strategic about it. It is about the same amount of giveaways. It's just going to be more packed in 5 days instead of 12 days because I don't want to be drained by day number 12. I want to sustain the amount of energy in the 5 days that I would have in the 12 days. Also learning from what sold and what didn't, what the customers really wanted. And so I feel like I've really dialed in. We started in July again. Decided that we would do the 5 days instead of 12 days. We've got it all lined up. We know exactly what we're giving. Again, it's the same amount. It's huge. We give away so many cool things, but it's going to be like the same hype, but in 5 days. So I'm being much more strategic about how we approach it this year. Striving is fueled by fear and strategy is fueled by wisdom. So in that example there, right? Like we just went to like, okay, God, show us how to make this more impactful, even if that means money. Yes, you can pray about that. And less striving for myself, but more so for my team who has to keep putting all this stuff out there. I like to think of it like this. Has anybody out there ever ran a 400? If I just said that and you wanted to throw up in your mouth, so sorry. They are tough. They are so tough. It was my favorite race in track and I was fairly decent at it. I loved it. And now my daughter Iverson actually loves it as well. But there is a strategy behind running a 400. Now, those of you who have run it are probably like, no, you're not. You just sprint the whole thing. Well, yes. And I'm sure there's what I'm going to say. I'm sure there's way better methods now. But back in the day, he would say, no, you're not going to sprint the whole thing. There is a strategy behind it. The first 100 you sprint as if it's the 100-meter race. Like you just go all out. And then you have about 8 steps that you coast. And then you pick it up at the 200 and you run that like the 200, where there's actually a couple of coasting steps in that as well. And so there is a strategy behind it. Believe me, I'm sure the strategy is better and all improved by now, but that's what it was like. So when I think of it like striving, if you ran a 400 by just striving, yeah, the end of it is, it's so hard. But when I knew the strategy behind it, I looked forward to the shifts while I was running it because I knew the plan. And so that's why strategy is so much better for us than the striving, because it's fueled by a plan. It's fueled by wisdom. It's fueled by strategy. And when you're striving, it's just fueled by fear you're going to get ran over or fear you're going to die at the end, right? So strategy is such a better approach to so many things. So I want you to picture the 400 runner. Okay, the ones that do it have a strategy. Hey, encouragers, hope you're enjoying this episode. We'll be right back after this short break. This episode of The Encourager is brought to you by Rebekah Scott Designs, where we create thoughtfully designed purses and accessories that support your real life, not just your outfit. Every bag is designed with intention, handcrafted right here in South Dakota, and built around the belief that beauty and function should work together. From custom fabrics and linings to leathers, zippers, and really cool features, you get to design a piece that truly fits your life. Visit designyourownbag.com to create your own custom bag and use code ENCOURAGER for $10 off your purchase. When we strive, we usually act out of fear of missing out. If I don't do this now, I'll fall behind, which was sort of true for me with the podcast scenario. Or it could be we act out of comparison. Well, if she's doing it, then I should do it, right? Right there. When we're using shoulds and we're using comparison, we should take a step back. Like, God, give me wisdom right now. I'm very guilty of this. I'm like, well, it can't be that hard. That's a common phrase for me. Well, it can't be that hard. Surely I can do it. If she can do it and if she knows how, then surely we can figure it out. That tracks for me. Or we're acting out of pressure. If I stop, everything will fall apart. This also makes me swallow hard a little bit. It's like, if I don't do this, if I don't show up for 12 days of giveaways, we may not have the same impact we had last year, get the same reach or whatever it is. Or if I don't sell X amount of these, which I have not planned for, then I won't be able to cover payroll, or I will lose momentum. You see, all of these are fear and pressure, and they stress me out just thinking about them. And when we're striving, that's what happens. But if we lead with strategy, it sounds more like, okay, this is a plan. What matters most for me right now in this season? What would make the biggest impact? Where can I make the biggest impact? Okay, in what area? So if I would have asked myself that, The year where I did all the interviews with the podcast, if I would have asked myself, where can I make the biggest impact? It would have been in the RSD world and not in the encourager world. Not that that world isn't completely growing, but if I would have, instead of done the 37 interviews, pursued more of the one-on-one coaching, much larger impact and much less striving, because I feel like the coaching comes so naturally to me over the interviewing and the time commitment of that. And it could also sound like, what does purpose look like for me and my family right now? So when you're leading with strategy, what does purpose look like for me and my family right now? And this, you can't answer that just like that. Maybe you can, but I want you to take a deep breath and think about it. Okay, what does purpose look like right now? Not striving, not pushing, not forcing. What would purpose look like for me and my family right now? Strategy slows you down just enough to see clearly. It gives you a plan. It's not about doing less. Not always. Sometimes it is, but not always. It's about doing what matters. It's being purposeful with what God has set before you. Not striving, not forcing, not pushing. Being purposeful. Planning it out. Being strategic. God, this is the next move. Is it not? Asking him, spending time with it, asking your family, comparing it to your systems. Will this fit? Is this the right thing to do next? Can I be purposeful about this? Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Notice that in that verse, you got to commit first. You have to commit the whole plan to him. Then he will establish your plans. And I love the word commit. It says, and especially in the coming years, with all these sports and everything, they're like, so-and-so committed. I'm like, you know what? That's such a statement piece. So I love this Bible verse. Proverbs 16:3, commit to the Lord, whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Commit to him first. Plan is the root of the word strategy. God isn't anti-ambition. He's anti-striving. Thank the Lord he's not anti-ambition, because he gave me a ton of it. He gave me a ton of drive. He gave me a ton of energy. He gave me a ton of ambition. He's just anti-striving. He did not plan for that for us. He wants our energy to come from purpose, not panic. And I love the little pairing there, right? He wants it to come from purpose, from what he is drawing up inside of us that moves us, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Like, it just moves us because it's purpose that he's put behind it, not panic, like striving. Another verse that hits home for me is Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. This one, I have to remind myself of frequently, because stillness doesn't mean stopping. It's why I didn't like that verse for so long. I'm like, yeah, but you know what? I move pretty fast. But it doesn't necessarily mean stopping, but it does mean settling. A rather settling in like, okay, this is God's peace. This is God's version. I'm going to be still because I have been strategic. I have planned. I have asked him to usher in, and it's going to be a settling of my spirit before I take the next step, because I have been strategic with what God wants me to commit to. Okay, here's how you're going to move from striving to strategy. I want us to actually talk about how to do it. I've given you some examples, but I want you to sit and think about this. Remember, with the podcast, at least for mine, I want you to be able to implement something within the first 10 minutes of listening to it. It might be just a shift in your mind. It might be something physically that you can do, but we can consume a lot of content. What I want you to do is start implementing it. So number one, pause before you push. Pause. Before you start the next project, ask, is this something God called me to do or something I'm forcing? Just a 2-minute pause. And listen, if you're like me, set the timer on your phone. 2 minutes. A 2-minute pause can save you 2 months of burnout. Am I right? Right. I've done this. Just 2 minutes. Pause. Wait, should I record 37 podcasts? Is this purposeful? Will this make an impact? If I would have thought that through in just the 2 minutes, I would have avoided the 2 month of burnout from all those appointments. Okay? Ask yourself that. Number 2, plan before you perform. Strategy lives in structure. That's where my 5 systems come in. Okay? Me, food, family, home, and work. That is the structure. That is your strategy. Plan out how you're going to perform before you attack this. It's not about perfection. It's about purpose again. So ask yourself, in the systems, if you plan well, How will this affect my 5 systems? So let's say you have a new goal for work. You're like, okay, well, how is this going to affect my work system? How can I plan before I perform this goal? How can I plan my food system a little bit better before I perform this amazing new diet that we're going to try, let's say? So think about your 5 systems and how can you plan before you perform, before you attack this thing? And this is after your 2-minute pause. Okay. And number 3, pray before you panic. It's so nice. It's so nice. I love all the P's, right? Pray before you panic. When you feel the chaos rising, even if you've been strategic, you guys, when you feel the chaos rising, that's your cue. Oh boy, I need to say a prayer. When you can feel your chest tighten, when you can feel the back of your neck or your shoulders getting tense or your belly is starting to hurt, just take a minute. Take a minute, pause, pray, ask God, Lord, I don't know what to do, but my eyes are on you. It's one of my favorite prayers. Lord, I don't know what to do, but my eyes are on you. Take a little minute. Ask, Lord, what's mine to carry here? What is it that I can do? What is it that I can carry? What is it that I can hand over to you? Sometimes the most strategic thing you can do is just to stop striving. That's it. Stop striving. Take a minute. Another example of how I went from striving to strategy in my business, Rebekah Scott Designs, is my marketing. I used to do my marketing about 2 weeks in advance, and I could do this when I had a smaller team. So this was a couple years back. I would create something and I'm like, okay, we can launch it in about 2 weeks. I need to make it. I need to write the instructions for it. Then we need to photo it. Then we need to figure out how we're marketing it after we got the photos. Then we have to add it to the website with all the dimensions and everything they can do for it. Then we got to think about actually selling it, like showing up live or whatever that looks like, taking it to the show. And then after it sells, then we got to make it again. And then we got to show people what we're making and then crash. So in only planning 2 weeks in advance, it was a ton of steps to get it out there and to sell the number that I wanted in that amount of time. So when I shifted and went, you guys, this is just like an unending wheel because I keep coming up with new ideas. I was never short of ideas. I just got short of energy by the time we had to do, again, all the admin stuff behind it. And so in order to kind of reverse some of that friction that happened where I was like, I've got a new thing, let's get it out there, but you had to do all those steps in between, we started thinking, what if we operate more like magazines do and we work 6 months in advance? So now we actually plan our marketing 2 quarters in advance. Now, I will say we went from 2 weeks to 1 quarter so that I would have 12 weeks to plan something and launch it. And then I realized that still even wasn't enough. And we moved to 2 quarters. So we work about 8 to 9 weeks in advance per production, but it still takes us about a whole quarter to launch things the appropriate way to make the impact that we want to with that product. And we use some things that are very similar to the Encourager as well. If we come with a new idea, a new product on the website, we think about it a quarter to 2 quarters in advance so we can appropriately launch it with this new strategy that involves a heck of a lot less striving. And it works, guys. It totally works. Now that I plan out every collection months ahead, then I can assign the team roles and I can pre-decide what done looks like. Because also sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do a full launch on this. I want to do a soft launch to find out how much the customers like it or how well received it is. Then I also have the option to be strategic on a hard launch, meaning a bigger launch. And so that has just been a game changer as far as my stress level with the striving versus the strategy and being really purposeful about what we are launching. It didn't make me lazier. It actually made me freer. So I could keep creating all these fun collections that I had ideas for. And we also had a plan of when to launch them so that we didn't fatigue our customers or fatigue me or fatigue my team. We had a plan and a strategy. This week, I want you to ask yourself, where am I striving and where do I need a strategy? Ask yourself in your systems, is there any of them that you feel like you're just really striving at? They just cause you to do a little exhale, like I just did, like, gosh, does this have to be this hard? If you're asking yourself that, okay, am I striving here? Could there be a strategy that I could put behind this system to make it a little bit more purposeful and less feeling like a burnout or a panic? It can be done. I can't possibly guess that for all of you out there, but I know when you sit and think about this, even if it's just for 2 minutes, ask yourself, where am I striving and where do I need more of a strategy? And then write it down. just that one area. Just that one area. You're just going to make one simple change. It may be that you're going to schedule out how you're going to better do your food system, or maybe you're going to simplify your me system because it just feels like a billion steps before you actually get to close your eyes at night. You could put more of a strategy behind that, or maybe you just need to surrender it. Like, this is not purposeful for this season, and I just need to surrender this. Okay, ask yourself, where am I striving and where do I need a strategy? Okay, also a little plug here. One of my favorite things when I'm coaching is when I can see this in the woman, when I can feel that she is striving and she's explaining all of the steps, and at the end of it, she goes, I'm like, do you feel like that's working? And sometimes they're like, yeah, it totally is. It's 50 steps and it totally works. I'm like, okay, is there any of them that you can probably simplify? Maybe. But the thing is sometimes when you're striving, you can still get to the next step and the next step because you know what it is, but it still doesn't mean that there's a strategy behind it. And so then there's the question that I ask them, and what is the impact? What is it doing for you? And then they pause because sometimes they haven't thought about the actual impact, but they know how to do the steps. Big difference there. And I love talking about strategy versus the striving because that will remove the stress for them. And then for me, of course, in the family system, it removes the stress for their family as well. When we can really dial in for mama what's going to matter. I love that part. Because striving will always make you feel behind. Strategy helps you feel aligned. One is about proving yourself. The other is about trusting God's plan for you. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. But what if you trusted God with his plan for you? The world celebrates striving. It loves the hustle, the grind, the busyness. But God blesses our strategy. And your heart and your body and your mind and your spiritual world will be so grateful when you use more strategy and less striving. God honors wisdom, preparation, and purpose. Don't strive to do more. Strategize to do what matters. And remember, striving drains you. Strategy sustains you. Until next time, encouragers, we got this because he's got us. If this podcast has encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It truly helps more women find these conversations. And if you're listening thinking, I don't need more motivation, I need someone to help me figure out my actual life, that's exactly what I do. Through Encourager Academy and one-on-one coaching, I help women build personalized systems for their home, work, and life rhythms. No cookie-cutter routines, but structures that fit your unique personality, your season, and your capacity. You can explore the Academy or book a free discovery call at theencouragerpodcast.com. Let's take your next small step forward together.